Check.
What?
See that? Camera just flew off the...
Did it?
Luckily, that's just...
Just filled out my NCAA May Madness bracket. The action starts today. You got yours in at the buzzer.
I did.
About 10 seconds remaining. You hit the submit button. Shout out to collegetennisranks.com for putting on a bracket challenge.
What do you get if you win?
It's a good question. I know Tennis Point and Cracked Rackets are going to be doing a giveaway on social media. I haven't even put it out there yet, but that'll be out there at some point today. Probably going to give away a Solinco racket as well as some grips and some string. Shout out to our friends from Solinco for sending me an awesome care package this past week. We got beautiful whiteout stenciled up right behind you with Outlast. I think that Solinco stick is amazing. I like it better than the Wilson Blade. I really do.
It's like, well, that one's strung real loose too.
48 pounds, yeah. It's a little, so I think the frame is a little stiffer than the Wilson Blade V8, which I prefer. I feel like I feel like the racket's not lagging. But JP, happy Friday, my man.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to the tennis world out there listening. Guys, I want to say before we start, appreciate you guys for tuning in, sharing this with your friends, or just interacting with this podcast. It's pretty cool to see that we've got over like almost 3,500 downloads now.
Yeah, subscribers too.
Subscribers, yeah. So it's a big day for the Pure Tennis Podcast. We set out a goal at the beginning of the year to have 100 listeners per episode, and we've surpassed that.
Our goal was to talk about tennis.
It was. Our goal was, we set small goals, and we want to just kind of just keep it chugging, and we hope to continue to bring you guys fun content. We're going to have fun guests lined up, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Like 50 episode in, man.
Yeah, congrats, dude.
Congrats to you, man.
Congrats
Appreciate
to
you.
We've got our own studio now.
We do. We've got our own studio. We've got
a whole hell of a
this
long
cool setup.
distance away from our basement. So.
It is. We started this podcast in JP's basement, but JP, can you give the listeners a little preview of your Final Four for your bracket?
I mean, I will say that at the end of, like, I had about 4 minutes to do it because I wasn't keeping track of my homework, and then so when I finally got time to do it, I submitted it with about 10 seconds left on the clock. So I will say I was rushed. I will do some big pointers though. I took TCU.
Ooh, TCU.
I took Ohio State.
Yep.
I got some upsets. I got Cornell.
Cornell. I like it.
Not going deep, but I have them winning.
Okay. Little dark horse.
Yeah, I have to go back and look. I'm just remembering some of my picks.
Fun bracket though. This
Baylor
is loaded.
Yeah,
Baylor could do some damage.
I think they can get through the first round. You got to get through. I put Kentucky through. I put
SEC champs.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be a ton of fun, and I think I will take just my champion is gonna be. I got Virginia.
Ooh,
going back to back.
Sorry,
I have them losing to TCU in the final. I wanted to put them as back-to-back champions, but I think TCU just has the mojo. Indoor national champions, Big 12 conference tournament champions.
They get the Texas matchup though right off the bat.
Yep.
Get kind of tossy. So
JP, I wanted to start on the ATP action in Madrid. Did you get to see that Carlos Alcaraz interview? Shout out to Lucille Allard, a girl that does great work. She works for L'Equipe. I met her a few years ago, and I heard her voice, and I'm like, Lucille, that was amazing. Your question went viral. You know, she asked, Carlos, what are your dreams with tennis? And Carlos was just super candid and honest, and didn't shy away from what he's setting out to do. And he said, my dreams in tennis are to be down as one of the greatest players in history. And I thought that was just like, how many players are you going to hear say that? And how many players would you actually believe if they said that at 19 years old?
I mean, it's a bold statement, but then in the same rate, like you look back after he said that, you told me to go look at it. We were talking about it too, because it's just, you see like the rise of Djokovic or the rise of Nadal, and you see these guys, they come in and they move through the 600s and the 100s and down through the 50s and into the 30s, like so smooth that it's like they get into the top 10. It's like, why wouldn't you be one of the greatest of all time? Because you move through all of these, you're going to defend your ranking you can look at his age and just know he's going to be there forever. I mean, he's 20 years old. His birthday is today.
Yeah, shout out to him and Sabalenka having big birthdays on May 5th.
I mean, he's not a teenager.
Cinco de Mayo.
He's not even a teenager, and he's like number one in the world.
I think that's a good sign.
No one's playing better than him.
No, and he's born on Cinco de Mayo. I think that's a good sign for the kid. But
I went watching the match too, just like.
And Andy Roddick also had an interesting thing about him. Just he's the most all around like developed player that.
That's what I was going to say.
There's no weaknesses.
No weakness.
Like if you're, and we talked about this on an episode not too long ago. It's like if you're coaching against him, where do you point your player to attack? It's like I don't know where that part of his game is lacking. Like what aspect of his game are you going to try to attack? It's like his movement is flawless. If you let him play offense and dictate, that's not a recipe for success. You can't bring him forward. He's comfortable in the front court.
He's better shaped than you.
I mean, his second serve might be the one place that you can try to tee off on, but it's like good luck.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's like the one area where like if you want to jump on him early,
Right.
It's got to be the second serve, and you got to capitalize. But Carlos is just unbelievable, and I think his just charisma and ability to just like he just looks like he's enjoying himself.
That's what
at
I
all
mean.
times.
It doesn't seem like he's ever in a place where he gets the fear of anybody either, other than maybe Sinner right now. Like I don't feel like anyone scares him on tour at all.
Who did he play in Madrid that he threw his racket once? I'm like, I couldn't believe I even saw him throw his racket. I kind of liked it though. It's like it was relatable. I didn't know if he had that in him.
I'm trying to remember.
I can't remember who it was. It was someone that
Altmaier, was it?
No. It was early on in the tournament, but he's just, I mean, what he did to Khachanov. I mean,
Khachanov was playing the best he's ever played too. Like
Yep.
just bombing. But like he came in there, he's like, I'm going to hit hard. Alcaraz is just bringing him up with the drop shot, lobbing it over his head, hitting behind his back. I mean, it's just so much art. It's just because he's like playing creatively.
And he's got that ability to just hit that. Like Holger has done it as well, which I've been impressed with these guys that are able to throw that changeup, where it's basically a moonball with a ton of topspin. It works very well on the clay. They'll usually hit it to the opponent's backhand corner, and it just asks players the question like, "What are you gonna do with this shot?" And
that's the thing too. Is like when I looked at that match specifically, I feel like Khachanov came in with a game plan. I feel like some other than Djokovic, like Alcaraz's game plan is I'm going to play outside of your ability. Like I'm going to stay in this world where you can't compete with these shots. Like I mean, not to like knock the power game, but he definitely came in to just hit bombs at him, and like he just ate up all that power and just drop shot, lob, work you off the court. It's just different. I
think the ability to not only have the drop shot in his pocket at all times, so like, and his ability to disguise it. I mean, he talked about in the tournament prior, I think it was Barcelona, like against Tsitsipas. He's like, I know against Tsitsipas I can hit a lot of drop shots, and he's not going to touch most of them. And that was like, he said it like in a way that was pretty
true,
like, as humble as you could say it.
Right.
But it's like, it's so true. It's like Steph had no chance against those droppers. I would say 70% of them, he didn't even take a step forward. He just gave up as soon as the ball was hit. It's like, is ball either going to be hitting the net or it was a winner. I think just that's a cheat code. I don't know.
That's what I mean.
There's not many weapons out there. Like, yeah, obliterating the forehand is like that, but it's like, I think that's even more disheartening when you got a guy just that can hit 100-mile-an-hour forehand and he can also feather a ball.
But that's what I mean. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like his game plan is to play at a level that you're not at.
Yeah.
Like Khachanov came in with, I'm going to hit power balls at his backhand.
Khachanov was he up 5'3"?
Yeah, and he was hitting great.
And
I've never seen him hit that. I mean, he's hitting great.
Khachanov's an underrated athlete as well. Like the way I didn't expect him to be able to develop like throughout his career into a clay court contender, if that's what we want to call him. But it's like he's jumping up there. He's looking like he might be a top 10 player.
He was puzzled He was puzzled though because there was nothing in the arsenal that could compete with it. Once the Alcaraz kind of went into the next gear, it's just like there's nothing there.
No,
but I'm sure everyone probably feels that way, other than Sinner.
So the other two guys
Keep throwing that out there. It's not even in the tournament.
So Carlos is going to play Borna George, your buddy.
No, not my buddy. I liked him because he won Cincinnati.
That's fair. You're off the wagon. George is back playing amazing tennis. He's such a good athlete, and I think that part sets his athleticism and his movement sets him apart on the clay courts. He's just able to cover so much ground and eat up so much court when he's whether transitioning from defense to offense, and just. His footwork is so nonstop.
Yeah.
He's always in positioning. Like his positions, he's never reaching. He's never off balance. I think that's the one thing I've been impressed with him most this week is there's very few times in a match where you feel like he is not on his front foot or not able to kind of get back into at least neutral. So he's got a hell of a tournament. He's looking to be back in the top 20
That's 2 Masters 1000s in the 12-month rolling. I mean,
Not
that's
a bad
good one.
year. In the other matchup, we got a lucky loser, Jean-Leonard Struff against qualifier Aslan Karatsev. These two played in qualifiers. Karatsev taking that one into straight sets. Unbelievable. Both these guys were outside the top 100 not long ago. Struff is now like live ranking. He's probably I think he's probably 40s or mid 30s. But
yeah, because he did good.
Entering this tournament, he was
week
65.
Before. Right.
And when I saw Struff out in Indian Wells, he was outside 110.
Yeah.
And I told you, I said, this guy on the practice courts, he had
you
already
called
lost.
it out. Yeah.
I said that. I was like, he looks like he's going to be back in form here soon. The Indian Wells courts are slower, kind of like on the clay. And when he's able to have time and get to his forehand, and he's got kind of longer strokes, but he's a sneaky, solid mover.
His serve bounces up.
His serve.
It's so much bounce.
And he looked solid in Miami. He had a good little run in Miami, but he just continued to come around. And on the clay courts, that's where he's having his breakout moment of the year. It's like,
yep.
And Struff, that match against Tsitsipas was ridiculous. Moving forward, like look very confident, knocking the finishing ball off. Had Tsitsipas all out of sorts.
Yeah. I think that the tiebreaker, too, had Tsitsipas out of sorts.
Yeah.
I think that messed him up. He's not wanting to fight that hard through a Struff.
So Struff plays calf muscles Karatsev. Karatsev, after being outside, he's still outside the 100.
He plays better when he's a qualifier. When he gets rid of the skull and crossbone brand, the hydrogen.
Hydrogen's out.
When he's back to that white shirt, blue pants.
What's he with, head now?
Yeah, but he's doing the white shirt, blue pants look.
No logo?
Well, it's the head. It's head. It's all head. Head, pants,
so
head.
He ditches hydrogen. I guess hydrogen was bad mojo, but
it's bad
I haven't seen Karatsev put together anything relatively close to being his best tennis in forever. I wasn't sure if his level was gone forever, but it's like, on the clay courts, we've seen him have success at the Aussie Open. We've seen him do damage on hard courts, especially faster courts. But on the clay, I mean, that match against Zhang, the
Zhang match
was incredible.
Medvedev match was incredible too. That one was.
I mean, he looked so calm, cool, and collected, taking out his fellow countryman Daniil Medvedev. And it was like pretty routine. Like Medi had nothing to throw off Karatsev. Like
he was doing the down the line ball like the whole day, just like because like to get him out of position to hit that much power to get behind Medvedev because he's an octopus and it just did not phase him.
He was hitting he was
cranking that.
I mean, angles, taking the ball early, redirecting. I mean,
he hits hard.
He hits the ball so his I would say his strokes, one word to describe them, stable.
Yeah,
it looks so hard to push him off his block. Like you cannot get him off. Like his footing and just his torque is so clean.
Yeah,
everything
stays
looks
really
so
low.
Stable. He does, and it's it's compact too. And his backhand, he has so much control with the left hand.
Yeah,
just the one backhand cross court winner he hit against Zhang when Zhang he took the ball early and came to the net.
Oh yeah, I know.
Just flipped that ball cross court. It was just like it looks so effortless. I'm like, that is such a tough shot to clean that.
I thought the coming up off the rise on down the line on Medi was the same thing. It was just, he just stood in somewhere about a foot inside the baseline and just kind of squatted down and just blasted it down the line. I think that was where it's just like, if I can do that to this guy, like, I got a chance. Although that is going to be a hard final. I'm thinking Karatsev and Alcaraz. What do you call him?
I'll take Karatsev. I mean, it's tough to beat a guy twice in the same tournament. I think that, especially with a guy playing at Struff's level. But
true.
Give me Carlos to take this title. I just don't know where you attack him. I think Karatsev has the firepower to kind of hold serve and push these sets deeper. But I think Carlos's problem solving as well as his ability to adapt mid-match. And I think a lot of that comes from his coach, Juan Carlos Ferrero. I do feel like Juan Carlos has taken advantage of this coaching, just the allotment they give these players on the same side of the net to have in-match coaching. I feel like Juan Carlos has taken advantage of that the most. And I think that interaction just seems like I'm wondering why there's not more chatter between the boxes and players. Like you see, Carlos is looking to his box all the time, pretty often.
They're yapping at each other too,
pretty much throughout the whole match. Yeah. And
that's the thing we were talking about too. Is like if you don't have a coach that can do that, you're at a disadvantage now. Like if you're just sitting there off on your own, like everybody else, like
100%,
you need to get somebody that's gonna yap at you, be like, bring this back into the play. Yep. Like you're abandoning this. You need to bring it back. Like
and just to kind of, I think. Players at that level, I mean, you just need the small things. It's like, you don't need to go for wide or tee. Just go body, or
Right.
you know, just the simple things that I heard Juan Carlos say is, you know, step in on this shot, or on the second serve return, show him different looks. I mean, I think just those little reminders that you kind of get stuck in doing the same things you've always done, and
Yeah.
you tweak things. And I think I've even talked to you when you're playing your matches. Is like,
It helps
even at that level, like at our level,
In our level.
you can't show a server the same return position throughout the whole match.
You can, I mean, telling me to move like down in the set, and you just move your legs and swing. It's just like, or just play tennis, like kind of stuff where you're just like in this spiral and you're just thinking about your swing. It's just like, okay, I just need to reset. So
that's been a great tournament. We got Madrid finishing up here this week. On the women's side, Iga Swiatek looks as dominant as ever.
Cold.
What she did to Kudermetova, just 1-1, and I thought Kudermetova was playing very good tennis. I just think Iga is head and shoulders above the rest of the competition. Just as we've kind of talked about with Carlos, I think a lot of this can be applied to Iga. Her ability to just, I mean,
a bunch of dropouts too.
The better the match,
tournament's weird, but you're right. Keep going. Sorry.
The higher the level of the opponent of Iga, it seems like she takes it more personal to like dismantle that player.
Yeah.
It's like she is ruthless. And she's got the high socks now. She's not rocking the no shows anymore. I think that also is like, that's a tennis look. And,
gear helper. It's a gear helper.
She's with the A6 shoes. I thought she signed with On. I don't know if they're working on her shoe, but she's rocking the A6 shoe, and I think it's a clean kit for her. She got set up. The A6 apparel she was wearing was not cutting it. So
yeah.
No, I think
I didn't like the fan shirt. Not a big fan of those.
The what shirt?
That has a little flag.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
dangling.
So the one guy I wanted to talk about that I thought was going to be a factor on this clay court swing is Casper Ruud. And Casper was tailing. I mean, he just seemed like he was in a downward spiral pretty much all season. I feel like he hasn't been able to find his best tennis. He's still ranked in the top 5 or 6 just because he had so many points that he accumulated throughout the back half of last year.
Yeah.
Made 2 Grand Slam finals at the French Open and the U.S. Open. So
what do you think that is?
A lot of points.
Why? Like, why? You think he's just different? Like, he played more tournaments than everybody last year, and that's it, and now he's not?
There's a few things I made note of here. I think it's... So, for one, in 2021, he played 76 matches. 2022, he played 73 matches. And I think...
Oh, wait. So, what is he at now?
Probably he hasn't won that many matches, so he's probably...
True.
He's a lot of early exits. So, I think... But I think... So, you have over almost 150 matches in 2 years. And then this past offseason, he didn't have an offseason. He went into this South American Latin tour with Rafael Nadal, 5 matches in like 8 days, all throughout. All the different types. I mean, it was Chile. I forget where else they played. Maybe Brazil. But it's like
Chile.
So he wanted to play with his childhood hero and his childhood idol. Super cool, and I think he's trained with Rafa at his academy and stuff. And I think that was like he couldn't say no to that opportunity. But I think it's cost him. I think not having as much as it hurts you physically to not be able to recover and kind of get your body ready for the next season I think it hurts your mental. I think it's just like hard to stay mentally locked in for a whole calendar. And I think not having that buffer of like just kind of go back to whether it's your hometown or take a vacation and kind of regroup, I think that really impacted him. And then second, because he's a very physical player. He plays with that physicality. He brings that match in and match out. He's not going to slap winners against you. He's going to try to work the point and wait for the right ball. And so, all those deep runs at tournaments. He had three titles last year. He had 2 major title runs. I think that added up. And then as well as to go with his style of play. And I think he's also got this. I think he's more of a predictable player as far as his patterns and his style. And I think that made sense to me when I met his coaches in Miami. Is like his game is a mathematical equation, and he's playing percentages. Like his camp is feeding him numbers on like on the third ball, if you step inside the baseline and get a forehand, you're winning 75% of these shots. If you work this pattern this many times, then so everything in his head. Like I took a picture of it. His camp didn't want me to showcase it on social, so I've got it for my own self. But I'll kind of. Maybe in our caption, I'll drop some of these things that he's looking for in his matches. But it's like his matches, he's not thinking out there on the spot and kind of trying to adapt in real time. It seems like his strategy is already set in stone kind of before he goes on the court. And so when a player is not giving him the looks that he thinks he's going to get, I think it kind of ruffles his feathers a little bit and gets him off his his confidence wavers. And I think we're seeing that. And I think after you lose, you drop a couple matches, you maybe lose a little bit of faith in what you and your team are kind of putting on the table to set out to do. And I think we're seeing that. And I mean, he just lost a clay court match to Arnaldi. He had the other losses. I mean, he lost to Struff, who's obviously playing well, and he lost to Cerundolo on clay. But this Arnaldi lost in straight sets. It's just like, that's puzzling from a guy that we thought of as a clay court specialist who was as dominant, who had as dominant of a year as almost anybody last year. It's puzzling. I think are we going to see Casper get back to that level?
I mean, he's top 5 still. He won an Estoril.
But he's got
he won Portugal, which is 250. But
he's got Roland Garros final to defend.
He's got to get in
and then he's
there.
got a U.S. Open
losing
final
a
to
lot
defend.
of points there.
Let me just tell you right now, Casper Ruud is not making the final of either of those slams.
No.
And
he's playing too tight. Like, Angela and I are joking about it every time we hit, because it's like, if you go out there and you're thinking about everything, all the things that you can do at that level, when you can do everything, I feel like that's just like when we were talking about Alcaraz. It's like, what's his game plan? His game plan is just to beat you.
Yep.
Whereas like Casper's thinking like all that like analytic stuff, and it's just too much.
His game is so much more free. It's just like, and
it looks that way,
and that's why he has more fun playing tennis. It's like, it looks like he just enjoys himself a lot more. Casper looks stressed.
He looks stiff.
Looks so stressed. It looks like a job to him.
Yeah.
Like when he's out there trying.
And it's fine, and it's fine, and it's fine, until at that one point when it breaks, and you just see it all come collapsing. It's like, I'm staying on the tightrope, and then he misses one ball, and then you just see him completely unravel, like, can't hit anything.
And speaking of that exhibition tour, I wonder if that impacted Rafa's. I mean, I know Rafa hadn't played that many matches last year and this year combined, like, so he's had enough rest, but it's like, I don't know what the gain was for either of those players. I know they love tennis. That both of them love playing. They're going to try to play, especially with the opportunity to play in that many fans, and do it in a way of. I mean, but I get it for Casper's point, but it's like Rafa at this point in his career, I don't know if that was the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of those things. I don't understand it.
Why?
It's like comedy too.
And
like bring out the guys, the clown tennis.
Yeah. And clay court tennis it's grueling.
Don't need that.
It's like. So the points aren't going to be over fast, and Casper and these guys are not going to be like.
You're not going to die on the court during an exhibition match.
But at the same point, it's like those guys don't know how to not try. Either one of those guys. Casper and Rafa don't know how to lay off the gas pedal. So it's like and Rafa we've seen after Australian Open, he's disappeared from the schedule. So it's like,
right.
Maybe I would like to hear from those guys if they would back and
speaking of defending points too, he's got to defend some points or he's going to drop out.
I
know you don't like that.
That's going to be tough to see.
You don't like that.
So Rafa has yet to play yet.
Can't beat Father Time
on the clay courts. Is he gonna play Rome? I'm hearing some rumors. One of my buddies who played at tennis at NKU
right?
was in Madrid this last few days, and they saw him. Took some videos of him practicing. He looks like he's picked up his intensity on the practice courts. He looks to be kind of going all out. You can hear the grunt was as loud as ever, but it's like he needs a tune-up event. Can you just go into Roland Garros? Obviously, he's got 14 titles on that surface. It's a place that he's got the utmost confidence and doesn't need any more experience, but it's like just to shake off the rust and get some of that match play. I feel like he would need that. I'm very curious to see what he decides to do with Rome coming up, the last Masters of the clay court swing.
Yeah, Djokovic is the current champion. I was wrong. I was thinking that was
for what
for last year.
For which term? Rome?
Yeah, Rome. Yeah.
So clay court swing's been a lot of fun. I think it's going to be
coming up.
A great Roland Garros.
Crazy.
It's just a different style of tennis, man.
Coming up,
the point
I love the French Open. I'm a huge French Open person.
Yeah,
I'm just a fan.
So where does that rank on your 4 slams of your bucket list? Where's
number?
The French?
I like French Open. I put number 1. I put number 1. I put U.S. Open number 2. Wimbledon number 3. I put the Aussie down at 4. Yeah,
I got Aussie at number 1. I'll take
as of something to do. Aussie's your number 1.
Oh, those fans.
Really?
That's the energy I need when I'm watching sports. I need the Aussie Open crowd.
It's funny, neither of us picked Wimbledon. We've never talked about this, by the way.
We haven't. Wimbledon's probably number 4 on my list.
Yeah.
It's just
too stuffy, too cold. I'm going to Rossby this year.
I'm not gonna get it's just it's a gentleman's sport, and I think that it's too much gentleman's stuff in Wimbledon. And I know there's people that are listening to this podcast that probably want to punch me in the face, but Wimbledon's not my jig.
No, me neither. But I am going to the grass courts this year. I'm going to go to that.
I know, and now that would excite me. Going to like a random 250 event.
That's what it is.
Would be cool.
It's 250. Taylor Fritz, current champion, but that's not till June. But that's going to be I feel like I'll get the taste of what that's all about, Queen's Court stuff, and then I'm going to go through Wimbledon's grounds and experience it, but I'm not.
I didn't want to offend my dad. My dad was in London like last week, and he came home and got us all Wimbledon hats, and I was like, "Oh, damn, thanks, man."
You didn't like that purple and green?
Oh, this hat is.
Was it green or was it purple or is it white?
So I can't stand. It was white with the purple accent and green. I can't. That's just
not a pinstripe guy.
I'll put it on my hat rack. I doubt you'll ever see me wearing that in public.
You're not going to get
Dad,
it.
I'm sorry. I love the gift. I really do. I really appreciate it. But the hat, I'm either a strict Velcro or snap hat guy. And that's like got that goofy buckle on it.
Ooh.
No one wants to wear. And I'm a backwards hat guy. I can't be rocking a buckle on my hat.
And yarn. Yeah, some yarn.
I mean, it's just like
threaded.
You gotta like push it together. I'm just like, I can't do that. Nope. How do you guys? What kind of hats do you guys wear on the tennis court? Are you wearing Velcro? Are you wearing a snapback? Because
I use the hat as a sweat collector, and if there's a buckle on it, that just doesn't. Like if you're rubbing, you're gonna cut yourself. Like what are you doing?
No. All right. Before we pick up, we want to get into college tennis, but let's take a quick break and we'll come back.
Let's do it. All right, we're back.
Okay, guys, we want to add a segment in for every podcast going forward. We're gonna do a new segment.
Do we want to tell why? Because we were told that we need to do this, right?
Yes.
It's a reoccurring segment.
We need a reoccurring segment. That was a message from
the bosses.
From the bosses above. That we need a consistent, and I you know what, I agree. So we're going to launch the sticky situation segment today.
Situations. Nate's funnier when Nate says it, but
I think everybody can relate to the one we're going to debut on pod number 1. It's the situation that I feel like I get into far too often in interclub tennis matches.
Yeah.
You drop the hammer, first serve on the deuce court, you go big bomb tee. And the guy calls it out.
After going for it.
And then the ball snaps on the curtain, and it feels good. Like, when you're, like...
It's close.
It
was close.
Yeah. And he gives it, like, actually, that's just a little bit deep.
Sorry.
And you're like, wait, what? And you're like, because you're already lined up on the ed court waiting for the first serve.
Feed me the ball back.
So, if you're a veteran of don't even question the call. Just go to the ed court. Just act like you're... So, I actually got my opponent to overturn his call without even saying a word. I just yelled, come on. Like... I saw him point his finger out, but I was like, you don't mean that. I just yelled, come on, and just went to the ed court. And he didn't say anything. I just looked at him and I'm like, I can't believe you right now.
I mean, that's a gutsy move because honestly, that's why we're defining it as a sticky situation. Because it requires that you do that. So, you either have to sit there and like listen to the you know what, just take two. So go ahead.
You drop your bomb tee serve, and they're like, oh, it's close, just a little bit deep, and you're like, I mean, wow, you just gotta say something that felt good to me, or whatever. You kind of drop, and then they're like, you know what? Just go ahead and take a first serve.
You thought that was in? Did you think that was in?
Did you think that was in? I did think that was in. It felt great off my racket, sir.
Yeah.
JP, talk to me. How do you deal with that sticky situation?
I mean, it happens to me all the time too, because I don't get that. But for me, it's like they're stealing a point, and.
If you're going to concede that you're going to give me a first serve...
It doesn't even have to be on a serve, too, because people do it on any winner, really.
If they do it on another shot, I'm taking the point.
Oh, I mean...
I'm taking the point.
If there's more than one, and they're looking at the lines every time you're close, obviously, that's not a sticky situation. That's a cheater. And then it's war. Then it's all absolute war. But, the sticky situation is someone that you genuinely kind of like, or don't have a problem with yet, and then they do it. And then because you don't have a problem with, they say... You know what? Go ahead and just take two.
Oh my!
You stole an ace, but go ahead and take two because you're not going to hit another ace.
Exactly. That's
where it's just annoying because you can't.
Guys,
they're banking on the fact that you're not going to drop it again.
Exactly. So let us know how you deal with this sticky situation.
Yeah,
it's one that it's like, and if you guys are unsure about a call, I promise, just give them the point. Just let's let it go.
Yeah.
Just let them have their ace. I promise it's not that serious. Unless you're playing for prize money, it's not that serious.
Yeah.
You'll sleep fine at night.
And also,
We've all
if you lay out for it and go for it and you watch it go into the net and then call it out, then you're a cheater. If it feels like cheating,
guys,
you're cheating.
So there you have it. There's our debut of Sticky Situation. It's a new segment.
It is.
I would love to get some feedback from you guys on what scenarios you guys have faced in your recent matches. Or it doesn't even have to be a match. It can be at a practice in a clinic. But no, that's one that JP. I remember you had that the other day. I saw it myself, and I was like, oh boy.
Well, it helps too. Then when your buddy's behind there shaking his head, doing.
Oh my! So I want to finish off today's podcast with a little bit of May Madness takes.
All right.
Shout out to my friend Alex Gruskin did a really good interview with Inaki Montes, the UVA Spanish number 2 singles players. Inaki is a tremendous talent. Could probably play one, but him and Chris Rodesh make up a hell of a duo at the top of that lineup, and they were defending champs. Inaki was a lot of fun to listen to on that episode, and I think one thing that was interesting amongst that interview was like he was asking about the difference between futures and high level tennis at the collegiate level, and he really said that like the difference is that the level is pretty much he thinks the same. He thinks the level at the top of college versus the futures is the same, but he found himself getting more nervous for UVA. For example, in May Madness last year against Florida. He just said, with the deuce point factor, and the rowdiness from the fans and the atmosphere and the just bringing that energy from other teammates and other fans are yelling and stuff. You go to a futures tournament, it's very
quiet.
Subdued. It's like very quiet. There's like, the moment's big because you're playing for prize money, but it's like it doesn't feel that way because you're playing for solely yourself. When you go into these team events and whether it's conference tournaments or NCAA tournament.
And for points.
You're playing for your teammates. You're playing for your fan base, your community. You're playing for your coaches. And it's just a different feeling. And he said, the pressure. He said the pressure feels a lot more real. And he's like, that's a big reason why he thinks that these college players are having success on the tour is that nothing will compares to, him playing against, for example, Florida last year with all these Florida fans going berserk.
Yeah. And that's where I feel like the Futures Challengers used to have more pressure because you're out on the road trying to survive and get money. That meant way more. Whereas now, I feel like the men's tennis it is much different.
Yep.
Like there's just so many more people watching.
But I thought it was also cool that Naki said that he actually embraces that aspect of the sport.
Right.
He loves it. He wants it. He likes the crowd interaction. He thinks that he plays his best tennis when the lights are brightest, and he feels like the lights are brightest and the moment's bigger when there is a lot of commotion going around him. And then he finds himself, in more of a calm state of mind and able to kind of find his best game and fight for every point. And I thought that was really cool to hear. And I think that is something that the ATP could possibly take into consideration a little bit more throughout the calendar year. Is we've seen how well tennis does in team environments and with more crowd interaction. We've seen golf, especially with the Live Tour and even the Waste Management. Like when you allow these sports that are known as gentlemen's sports, let the energy around the event breathe a little bit and let people kind of be themselves when they're watching sports, which is entertainment, having fun. I think you can produce the same level of tennis or even higher at times because that extra adrenaline rush when people are tired, it's like, I'm not going to be tired if there's all these fans that are trying to have a good time and watch me perform. So I thought that was a really fun interview. I know I'm excited to see what.
It's awesome. And do you want to talk for people that don't necessarily know everything about college tennis, how it's set up? Because like for me coming into it, you got the singles, you got the doubles, you got the team. But there's 3 different brackets. Do you want to talk about how it's set up and what goes first and how it's happening right now? Because I think it's pretty cool.
In regards to the doubles point.
No, just the team tournament. Which is right now.
Yep, and then the individuals.
Then they do the individual stuff.
Yep.
But so right now, if people are talking about men's tennis, it's talking about the team tennis.
Yeah. So right now, if you're tuning into action, it'll be live streamed on all types of.
Which is the cool one that we were just talking about because it's everybody. The doubles are playing.
Team event. So
singles are playing.
So yeah, all the teams are dropped in, seated as they are ranked in the ITA rankings. I believe that's where how they get kind of credentialed into their seeds. But yeah, you get a seed just like you do for March Madness in basketball, and there's host sites. So it's not in basketball you kind of get sent wherever, but so the top seeds host. So for example, Ohio State's one of the top seeds. They host a 4 teams.
Good luck
for
going
this
there.
weekend. Yeah. So Ohio State's got Eastern Tennessee.
ETSU.
So they, for example, all the top seeds will be host, and then they get sent down to Orlando, the USTA National Campus, where they will play out I believe from the Sweet 16 and on. So
Okay.
it's
That's good to
it's
know.
a hell of an event.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get down to Orlando. I head out on the 11th, and it's Division 1, 2, and 3 now.
You went last year too.
I did. I was in Champaign, Illinois. It was an amazing experience. I was blown away by the level of tennis. I was blown away by just the energy around the event, and I can't wait to be a part of that event, hopefully for many years going forward, just because I think it was probably more fun than any other tournament I went to all year, even more than all the pro tournaments. It's just because the team aspect adds so much juice to it. And watching those guys warm up and kind of get in the pre-match huddles and just kind of release that, like, it was just like going men being men, dudes being dudes, and even for the girls. I mean, I can say all the same things for the girls. I mean,
Yep.
the energy the girls bring and the feistiness that you see from these females, it's just like it's a cat fight. They're going in, like, they are fighting tooth and nail to win one of these championships, and it's going to be popcorn. I mean, on the women's side, I got the UNC Tar Heels, very boring pick as the number 1 overall seed. They haven't won a championship. They haven't won an NCAA tournament in a long time. I'm not sure, but they've been one of the top teams. They win indoor nationals almost every year. It seems like they have not been able to capitalize in the spring. But so I think that team is just loaded top to bottom. I think they finally pull through and take the title home. But yeah, if you guys have a chance, get to there's a region host site next to you. Get to that this weekend. You will not regret it. You will not have seen tennis played in this type of fashion probably anywhere else. So take advantage of that.
Yep, it's going to be awesome.
Guys, appreciate you for tuning in to another edition of the Pure Tennis Podcast. Had a ton of fun. JP, I appreciate you. And I can't wait to defend our city title this
on the
weekend
line
on Sunday. Let's go have some fun, baby.
All right.
All right, guys, have a great weekend. We'll be back with you.
Be safe, pray for us.
Sir.